Hi, it's Ms. Mackenzie, your K-12 District Teacher Librarian, and this week's Makerspace activity is all about Earth Day. April is such an amazing, awesome month because we celebrate National School Library Month all April long. We also celebrate Earth Day on April 22nd, and then the entire month is also devoted to poetry. So we are going to make recycled newspaper planter pots, and then we're going to go ahead and plant a bean plant. So let's get started. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Here's your kit. You can take all of your supplies out of your kit. As always, there's a QR code that you can scan, and that'll take you to this video. And inside of our kit, we have a Dixie cup, a popsicle stick, a tub of dirt, our little bean seed, and a chunk of newspaper, okay? So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you how to make this little newspaper pot. It may be a little challenging for some of our first grade friends in particular, and that's totally okay, because remember we said makerspace activities are all about thinking, creating, exploring. You know, we're not perfectionists, and if something doesn't go right, we try again, okay? So if the folding of this newspaper pot doesn't work for you, no worries. Then you're just going to plant your bean inside of this backup Dixie cup. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So here is a completed little pot to include some dirt with my bean seed inside, and I labeled it with my popsicle stick. Oh, there comes my bean. And then this whole entire thing is simply folded together. And the point of this is that newspaper decomposes. So you can, when this little seedling gets tall enough, you can just dig a hole in the ground and literally plop this whole entire thing inside of that hole. So let's show you how we make that little newspaper pot. Okay, I grabbed some tape just in case. And I will tell you, usually these pots are made on a little bit larger scale, usually around a glass bell jar, but we're going to make them small style. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the Dixie cup. We're going to take our paper, and everyone just has a strip of newspaper cut out, and we are going to roll the newspaper like so. And I'm just kind of using that Dixie cup just to help me roll it in a circle. I could probably do that without the Dixie cup. And then we are going to fold over one side into the Dixie cup. Okay, so I'm going to fold it over on one side first. Then I'm going to fold it over on the other side. And then I'm going to fold these two other bottom pieces in as well. Okay, and then I just kind of squished it in there. So it does not look pretty, people. Then I'm going to pull the cup out. So I just use that cup to try to help me form a circle. Okay, and when you do this on a larger scale, it's easier to do. So we kind of just have a little circular thing here. If you need to, you can grab a piece of tape to hold that bottom together. Some people like to, and then I kind of pick it up and flatten the bottom down. Okay, and this is just a temporary pot. This is just the little newspaper pot that's going to be used to get our baby seeds started. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Again, ideally, we'll plant the whole entire thing in the ground. Some people like to fold over the side and make a little lip, and it kind of helps reinforce the pot. Okay, you could do or not do that. And then again, the goal is to try to fold these without tape, but if you want to use a little bit of tape to secure your pot, you sure can. Okay. So there was our little newspaper pot. Again, if this was challenging for you, that's okay. You can just use the Dixie cup. That's our backup. All right. So then the next thing we're going to do is is pour our dirt inside. So everyone got a little tub of dirt. And I will say, you know, Earth Day is all about taking care of our planets, planting trees, and talking about recycling and being good consumers. This is a non-biodegradable plastic tub, okay? And one reason why I wanted to use it is it's kind of a point of education. You see that number on the bottom? When you're looking at plastic containers to see which ones you can put in the recycle bin, that number means something, all right? And usually you need a 1 for it to be recycled. So this one is not recyclable, but it is a really nice sturdy little plastic container. And so when we're done using it today, I want everyone to wash the tub out and save it because we're going to incorporate it into one of our next Makerspace activities. I also love little plastic tubs like this for all sorts of Makerspace supplies, like little shells and rocks and glitter and doodads and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, we are going to open, and here's the thing, especially for our first grade friends. We could potentially have dirt flying everywhere. So I've got a couple of suggestions for you. We're going to open this tub, so I'm going to hold it down firmly on the ground and slowly loosen up that plastic lid and then take it off. I've got this firmly held down. And then for some of our first grade friends, it might be hard to get the dirt from point A to point B, okay? You could try to pour that and it would go everywhere. Same thing here. You know, this one's a little easier to pour into. So I would recommend, actually, this is my tip, if I'm trying to pour something into a container that's a little smaller. Sometimes I will just put it down on a piece of paper or something that's flexible, and then we can slowly get the dirt into our pot this way, okay? And for our CDL students who are doing this from home, I'm actually going to recommend before we get started that you grab a baking sheet, some kind of pan, so if you get dirt anywhere, we can very easily clean it up. And then for our friends who are hybrid, who are here at school doing this activity with your teachers, this would be a perfect activity to take outside into our beautiful courtyard that's attached to the library. Perfect activity for that. Okay, so I have a pot from a recycled piece of newspaper. I got my dirt inside without it going everywhere. Next, we're going to create our little planter label and then put our seed inside, okay? So these are actually, let me find my packets. We're planting beans, friends. We're planting Blue Lake Pole Garden beans, all right? So it says that if you were planting a whole garden of these, you would want to plant 4 to 6 seeds per pole, covering seeds with 1 to 1.5 inches of fine soil firmed down, okay? So this little pot is maybe just about the depth of how we need to plant these. So that tells me we are going to make a hole, and sometimes I just do with my finger. We can make a hole with this little stick that we have. But you're gonna want to almost, if it's got to go 1.5 inches down, we're going to make a hole almost to the bottom of this little pot, and then we're going to plop our seed inside. Can you see my little seed went inside of the hole there? There it is. And then we're just going to cover that seed up, okay? And you'll want to carefully water this. Again, you may want to set your newspaper pot onto a plate or some kind of container, because when you water this, it will seep through the bottom, okay? But then let's go ahead and label, I don't know, I grabbed a green pen, and I am going to label my bean on the stick. And so we spell bean, B. You can use a marker or a pencil. E, A, N. Okay, maybe I'll draw a little picture of a bean. There's a little bean. Okay, so there I labeled my little planter pole. I got my bean inside, and there. I'm going to stick that popsicle stick inside. We'll give it just a little bit of sprinkle of water. You just want to keep the dirt moist. And then we're going to set it in a sunny windowsill. And here we go. Germination. It says that it'll take 1 to 2 weeks depending on soil and weather conditions. So in a couple of weeks, we should begin to see a little sprout coming out. Okay? All right, and I just checked my supplies, and I have enough bean seeds to give everybody 2. So I'm going to go ahead and stick a second bead down in that hole. And you know why I did that? Again, maker spaces, creating, exploring, thinking, learning, problem solving. I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at plant 4 to 6 seeds per pole in hills. Okay, so sometimes a seed won't make it. So sometimes you actually plant a couple extras just in case. And then you'll also always see instructions on gardening packets about thinning. Okay, so we're going to see what comes up in the next couple of weeks, and if we need to thin one of the seeds away, awesome. If one of the seeds doesn't make it, we've got a second backup seed in there. And yeah, I want to say one more thing about the engineering design process before we wrap up. All right, the last thing I wanted to remind everyone is that when we're doing Makerspace To Go kits, they're fun, they're fabulous, they're meant to be enjoyable. It's healthy for you to work with your hands, explore, tinker, all that good stuff. And Makerspace kits celebrate the engineering design process. So we're actually being quite sophisticated as well. And let me just go through this real quick for this project. So usually you start here with ask, define the problem. So we're celebrating Earth Day on April 22nd. I wanted to come up with some kind of activity that highlights Earth Day. And so, and also highlighted some recycling, okay? And so planting and recycling. So that's how I came to creating these kits. And then it says imagine, generate ideas. That's good. That was kind of part of the ask. I knew that I had a pile of newspapers that I wanted to turn into something while we were planting something. Then plan, select a solution. So I Googled, I went online, I found all sorts of different ideas and arrived at the easiest one that I thought everyone K-12 down to our first graders could do successfully. So then create. You just watch me create the kits, use the kits, and do one live on camera. That was kind of us testing out that kit. And then when we've just completed a Makerspace kit, whenever I'm teaching classes, I love this last step, the last couple of steps. So we just created this recycled newspaper planter pot and then planted a bean seed. How could we make our kits better? How could we improve that funky newspaper folding? It was a little awkward for some people, I'm guessing. And then I love this last step, share, present the results. So whenever I'm teaching in class, we always hold up in the camera or showcase around the room our end results. And then I also love to use social media to showcase being a good digital leader and also to share your work. So all right, join us next time for another Makerspace To Go activity.